All right. Well, hey, good morning, everyone. We are really glad to have you here for today's Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program, our June 2026. Can you believe it's June already? Here we're getting close to July. Wraparound Services Community of Practice meeting. It looks like we have a great group, 27. That's awesome. Great to see here. Just as a reminder, today's session is being recorded, and we will be posting that and sharing that with you later. Right now, it's that time. We want everyone to go into the chat feature down at the bottom of your screen. If you're using a desktop, you'll see the little chat bubble and ask you to go in and drop your name, your organization, agency, and your title. So love to see a lot of wraparound services coordinators here. So Charles, nice to have you here. Good morning. Please also include your agency that you're with and your title as well. Vanessa, Cleo, case manager, awesome. And use your Illinois Works title too, if you would. That'll help me know what your role is. Tony Casper, Dan Valeria, great. Melanie, Southwest College, great. We've got Mariah Miller, Revolution Workshop. Got C. Witt in the house. Sandra, thank you. Case manager, Charles Edwards. Spark 618, wraparound service coordinator. There we go. Good to see. We have a transition service coordinator. Now, today is for wraparound services. So I guess you're welcome to join, but also know this is targeting just the wraparound services coordinator audience. We got Christine Craddock, ROE 51, wraparound service coordinator. Great. Alma Garcia. We got Hire 360 here with us, CSA. Got Tracy Polson, Executive Director, Youth Build. All right. Juanette. Hey, good to see you, Juanette. Juanette's one of my coaching clients there. Eden Career Institute, Wraparound Service Coordinator and Data Entry Coordinator and Instructor. Got a lot of titles there, Juanette. Gary Ludwig, Youth Build again, Data Entry Coordinator, another wraparound service. Great. We're going to see Rosalind Bond. We got another wraparound service and transition service. Wow, that's a big job. Curtis Lewis and Antoine Heron from Program Coordinator, TSC, Transition Service Coordinator with CFF, Chicago Builds. Oh, well, your Diddy's in Reno, Nevada for a conference. Well, hey, thanks for joining us in Wraparound Service Coordinator. Thanks for joining for that. Melissa Santana, Bahina from Association House of Chicago, case manager, Vicki Wilkins, Jeff Vos, ROE 51, transition service coordinator. Again, this is the wraparound service coordinators meetings. You're welcome to join, but this is the target audience. It's mandatory for wraparound service coordinators. Sabrina Shine, Hire 360, case manager, also a presenter there. And Rochelle Haynes, CAPS transition coordinator in the Chicagoland area. All right, well, hey, it's great to have everyone here. And if you're just now joining and you haven't dropped your name and program that you're with and then your Illinois Works title into the chat, that would be helpful. It's always good to know who we have here with us today. And thank you for doing that. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Shar. We're really fortunate. I don't know if you guys know this. I've got to hear Shar speak a few times, and she is really good. And in addition to that, she knows this area. This is a topic she knows well. I've heard her talk about some creative ideas around wraparound services, and it's a real privilege to have her with us leading today's community of practice. So Shar, I'm going to kick it over and turn it over to you now.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Way to raise the bar.
I want to set expectations.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I saw some familiar names and organizations. So welcome to the Wraparound Services Community of Practice. I'm just going to go over the objectives really quickly. So by the end of this meeting, you'll be able to define wraparound services and scope, leverage internal and external wraparound service partnerships, accurately document wraparound services in IWRS, build strategies to continually monitor wraparound service needs, and identify best practices for communicating wraparound services. So it sounds like a lot, but this is what you do every day. You got this, right? Okay, so wraparound services and student support services are two areas that are closely linked. They express the core value of the Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program for overcoming barriers and empowering participants for resilience and self-sufficiency. I will say I believe that Illinois Works has one of the best wraparound services there is, and I am very biased, but I definitely believe they do. Now, here's the definition of wraparound services and the scope of these services. Wraparound services is a defined support that addresses non-academic barriers. Its goal is to create opportunities that are laser focused on minimizing or removing non-academic barriers. The scope of wraparound services is to focus on financial management for participants. Now, everyone loves stipends, right? And stipends can cover some items, and wraparound services can be used for the other items. Each grantee has a budget for wraparound services, and they're encouraged to utilize it to support student success. Not using wraparound services funds could have a negative financial impact during closeout. And I just want to make a quick note. Participants must opt in to wraparound services. This is not something that you can say, oh, everybody needs this. You know, they have to opt in. All right. So when we discuss wraparound services assessment, it includes each type of services that are open. These are a list of common wraparound services that are included but not limited to. So childcare, family care. So if you have a child or even an adult family member that you care for and that will need care while you are in the program or your participants are in the program, we will cover the cost for that. Technology assistance is available. Driver's education fees are available. And this is something that's really big because we have included the driver's license for the completion credit. So this is something that I would definitely, as a wraparound service coordinator, look into to see if there are areas and places that you can partner with, see what they actually offer. Because more than likely, if a person does not have a driver's license, they may not have a car to go to take the test. So just, you know, this is one of those areas, with this being a new area of guidance for completion, that I would, as a wraparound service coordinator, and I know we've spoken on this before, just look into to see what's in your area, how can they support you, can you get, you know, some kind of memorandum of understanding with some maybe discount depending on how many people you're bringing to the table. We also offer transportation support and digital literacy. Now, I'm going to ask you a question because I'm not doing all the talking here today. Are there any other types of wraparound services that you provided to your participants? So we're going to take a few examples. Please drop them in the chat. And let's see, outside of the ones that we've listed today, and I see some of my grantees on here, and I remember some of the things you've asked for, and some of them weren't on here. So eyeglasses, yes. So eye exams and eyeglasses are definitely some that I've seen more recently. GED services, anything else? Apprenticeship application. So housing assistance, I can't see all of these. The bank came to speak on financial literacy and set up bank accounts. Housing assistance, I know I'm missing some.
No, you're doing good. I can help you out, Shar.
Okay.
There's also
It's coming so fast.
yeah, I know they're popping in. There was we had the GED services, apprenticeship application fees, we had tutoring, housing assistance. One person created a resource list of private landlord services, and then one person had a bank come and speak on financial literacy and set up bank accounts for students, and another GED, housing assistance, car repairs.
So these are all good. I do want to clarify. So apprenticeship application fees, that would be under transition services. That is not under the wraparound services. So I just want to make sure that we clarify that. And then tutoring and any other of the educational learning supports, that would be under student support services. So thank you for adding those in here, because then we can clarify it, but those are not specifically wraparound services. Now, one thing that I will say, the first one that popped up and populated was eyeglasses and eye exams. I saw that for the first time last year, where we had a grantee who had participants that, needed current eye exams, because if you can't see, how can you test? You can see, how you going to hit the hammer to the nail, And so what you would need to do for anything that we have not already identified as a wraparound service is reach out to your grant manager, make sure that you submit the request with the invoice or some, estimate of how much it's going to cost so that we can review it for approval. And then the final one that we saw was car repairs, which is something that we offer for our participants. Kind of the general rule: if the car doesn't start or stop, then we'll consider it. So thank you so much for the participation and engagement. It makes things so much easier for me. I appreciate you. So, and if you do have questions, please add them to the chat while I'm talking. If you have questions, we will be stopping and taking slight breaks just to check the chat for any questions or comments. We did have some changes in transportation allowable costs for the 2026 year. So the 2026 grantee manual updates, we'll just talk about the allowable costs because we want to provide some greater clarity. And we'll begin with the transportation costs. So under wraparound service assessments, the allowable cost for transportation was updated with the explanation that gas station branded cards or gas cards, period, cannot be distributed. That is not an allowable cost. Also, generic Visa gift cards and cash cards are not an allowable cost. Another thing that is not allowable is ride shares or taxis. So if it's a Lyft, an Uber, things of that nature, that is not an allowable cost. So we have our guiding questions for the participants that are on the assessment. And the first one is, do you have reliable transportation to and from the program? And we also ask, what is your primary form of transportation? Now, as a grant manager, I will tell you, one of the things that is missed so often is the answer for what is your primary form of transportation. They'll say they have transportation to the program, but it doesn't say if it's bus, train, bike. It doesn't say that. So please make sure that when you're doing that intake and things like that, that you check that box. We do need that done. Because if by chance that's not checked and then you ask for bus cards, or the transportation cards, something like that, we need to be able to identify that you've already said that this is their mode of transportation.
Hey, Char, one comment did come in. On that form, there's a comment that there's no option for walking.
And I'm just going to tell you what I believe. I believe that's because there's no cost associated with that. If you're doing other things, then there may be an associated cost, but I don't know what the cost would be for walking. But thank you for adding that. I will bring it up in our next meeting just to ask them if that's something that they want to consider adding to the document.
Yeah, and one more came in too, a question. Are bicycles covered?
So that would have to be a case by case, because what we offer are things that can really be used during the programmatic instructional time, and a bicycle is something that would kind of be a long-standing item that will be used. So I would talk to your grant manager and pitch your ask and go from there. Now, when we initially had the question in the last slide, it talked about apprenticeship application fees and things like that. So apprenticeship application fees, mentorship, and alumni networking have been removed from wraparound services and added to transition services. Now, Allowable costs, we'll talk about that really quickly. Expenses related to wraparound costs, transition services, and student support services should be identified as a single budget line item of barrier reduction services. So an example would kind of look like barrier reduction services, the dollar amount, including all services with an average of blank per student. The Illinois Works Financial Grant Manager will then compare that amount of your allowable expenses to the maximum reimbursement amount submitted by the Illinois Works Grant Manager. If the Illinois Works Financial Grant Manager approved amount is equal or less than the maximum reimbursement amount submitted by the grant manager, those expenses will be approved for payment. So basically what that's saying is, if you have reimbursed expenses that you submitted to the financial grant manager, you need to also have, for your verification and your monthly compliance, you need to have at least that amount available to be reimbursed. And just a quick note, all fund disbursements come from the Office of the Comptroller.
Hey, Shar, there was a comment made. Maybe this you could help. Can you provide some of the why? Like why are the options so limited for transportation assistance?
I cannot answer that. I do know that there are restrictions that have been noted in the act that allows this program to proceed. And so in looking at that, there are some things that we just cannot do. So like lifts and ride shares, that's difficult to track. And taxis and things like that, they don't always give you a receipt of to and from. So we want to make sure that everything that we do is trackable, because this is taxpayer money and we are accountable to be able to show how this money was dispersed amongst the participants. And if we just have this kind of blank space where it's like, oh yeah, they took a taxi, well, we don't know where they went. It's not always as clear. And if we say, okay, yeah, you can use this, it leaves a lot of room to be gray. And we want to make sure that we're doing things and showing how accountable we can be to the grantees, to the participants, and to the taxpayers. I hope that answers. Are there any other questions or comments? Was that helpful?
I think it was, Shar. Yeah, but Gary asked the question and he said yes. He said thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I know that why can be, it's like I said, you weren't always on all those decisions, but I thought that was a good answer, kind of framing as to the rationale behind it. And there are no additional questions in the chat at this point.
Okay, next slide, please. So in the 2026 Grantee Manual, Table 12 describes participant barrier examples and Illinois Works allowable costs to assist in overcoming barriers. So here's a few examples. One is low income. It may be difficult for participants to stay financially solvent during the pre-apprenticeship program, and they may need some help getting started as they prepare to enter apprenticeship. So some of those allowable costs can be, broadband hotspot fees. We don't purchase laptops for them, specifically, but to be able to loan those to participants. Financial literacy course fees, or purchase of training materials, things like that. Going forward, childcare family needs. That challenge is disadvantaged parents that are likely to face challenges in obtaining quality childcare that meets pre-apprenticeship training schedules. And so our allowable cost is childcare or family member fees. One of the reasons this is so important is because there are state subsidy programs, but you have to be working or in school. And this is an apprenticeship program where you're not paid a salary or, things like that. You receive a stipend. So that's why this is allowable. So these are the types of things that were considered in building this process and building the guidance for this program. The next area is if they don't have a driver's license or reliable transportation. Many jobs in construction and building trades require reliable personal transportation as travel to different job sites is typical. So allowable costs are driver's education fees, public transit fare cards, car repairs, and we'll have to discuss the plate sticker city renewal fees. Now, one thing that we also have to remember is with the plate sticker city renewal fees, the car has to be in the participant's name. Excuse me. We've seen that before where they've requested it, but the car is in someone else's name. So when you have those types of ads, just make sure that you've checked that information. Another barrier is lack of knowledge about the construction industry. Some participants may have concerns they will not be accepted on the job, and others may be aware of the expectations and working conditions of the construction industry. So allowable costs are the mentor-mentee training, mentor planned activities, expenses related to mentorship events, and purchase of training materials. All right, next slide, please.
Hey, Shard, there was a comment
Okay.
question came in too. Is just on the area of transportation. What was the rationale behind doing away with the gas cards? It seems like they said there are for our program that's a big barrier for our students.
So that was a decision, I have to tread lightly. So that was a decision that was made based on a few factors. And one was the ability to track. So I'm not sure how every program does it, but I believe we saw that most programs do it differently. There were a lot of programs where there were reports, here and there that everybody that was like, you got a gas card when you came in. That's not our rule. They have to opt in, so there were other things, but it was not an Illinois Works decision. I'll say that. It was a decision that was made where we had to follow directions. I'll say it that way.
Okay, did have a comment. I think this is just more for your awareness, but that there are some limited options for people downstate that they're sharing, and so they have people traveling far away to get to Richland, like for say, and that's one of the challenges. So I just wanted you to kind of, I think, be aware of that. And then the question is, if gas cards are not allowed, can you purchase fuel for participants that demonstrate a need?
No, no. I will also say so we had a community of practice last year where we talked about the barriers for the downstate grantees. And I'll just give a few of the recommendations that I made. So we talked about, reaching out to the school bus companies to see if there was a way that you all could partner there, because more than likely, the school buses are running early, morning and late afternoon. And, that midday, those buses are not in operation, to see if that would be something that they would be willing to partner with you. I don't know how that will work, but my background is early childhood. I had to pivot so much. So we always had to figure out a way. So if that is a barrier for you, definitely reach out to your grant manager and just see if they have any additional options for you. I see another question in the chat.
Yes, there was just came in around
Yes,
transit cards and bus cards.
Transit cards are fine. Bus cards are fine. Those are allowable. Okay. Do we have any more? I'm sorry.
No, that was it. Char.
Okay, and keep them coming. This meeting is for you. This meeting is not just for me to talk. This is your meeting too. So keep the questions coming. In the 2026 Grantee Manual, Table 13 describes other participant barriers and potential partners to assist in overcoming barriers. If you were at the regional conference, I talked about this, and I talked about having your handy dandy notebook with all your resources in there, and I stand by it. But there are a few examples. So for physical health or self-reported health issues or children's health issues, these things may limit the ability to complete training programs and obtain and maintain employment. So most counties have a local county health center, or department. If participants are dealing with substance abuse, a lot of times, that's one of the rules that you all have as an agency, that, drug tests are, required and things like that. If you do have a participant that's having issues with substance abuse, you can support them in, getting some assistance or treatment or help. And that can happen at a local behavioral health center or community mental health centers and organizations. For mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, PTSD, or others, this can make active participation in programming difficult due to limited energy, disruption of normal physical functioning, inability to concentrate, and more. There are local behavioral health centers and organizations. There are community mental health centers. So these are places that you all can reach out to for those things. When it comes to domestic violence, women and men who experience food or housing security in 12 months reported a significantly higher prevalence of physical violence, stalking by an intimate partner, compared to women and men who did not experience food or housing insecurity. So when domestic violence intersects with other barriers, participants can find it more difficult to complete training programs and obtain and maintain employment. Reach out to domestic violence service providers, the Department of Public Health and Human Services. They are here to help. For housing instability, because I did see that on the list, that housing was something that we have supported with, and we have. It is not something that happens often, but there have been there have been scarce, places where we have found that we can support grantees, because when you think about it, we're a 10-week program or 8-week or 12, or it's not a 6 to 12 month program. And so when we're looking at what we can cover, we have to look at it during the time period, of when they're in instruction. But for housing instability, homelessness, some participants can face difficulties finding permanent in housing, or they are homeless. There are public housing authorities, there are community action agencies, and as one of the participants in this session mentioned, that they have a resource for landlords and things like that will work with participants. For public assistance, temporary assistance if needed, you have SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Some participants may fear the reduction in cash and food assistance if work-related requirements are not coordinated with a workforce development program. Some of them, including their children, may be experiencing hunger. So potential partners are the Department of Health and Human Services, community action agencies. There are a lot of resources they have, like food banks and things like that. So this is where, it's time to do the research and build those relationships.
Hey, Shar, one comment came in, just a question too here. When we talk about mental health, does this include covering cost of therapy?
So what I will say is, I would reach out to the the health departments and the behavioral health departments and places like that. If you have additional questions about how you can provide resources and things like that for a participant, reach out to your grant manager, because these are things that we are navigating along the way. It's not going to be just a blanket, this is what it looks like. It does have to be a conversation. Okay.
Yeah, and then I just want to give a shout out to Gary. He dropped into the chat. United Way is a great resource for temporary housing.
Okay.
So just shout out. I think that's awesome that you guys, share your advice too. Char's asking for that. If you have great tips or tricks, those are great to share. So thanks, Gary.
And even if you have, I know in the community I live in, I just found out recently that there's I forgot what it's called. And um, the next time we have a meeting, I will have this information. But there's a program that partners with different like hotels and motels to provide housing. And when I was teaching, I remember they would transport the children back and forth to school, and they even hired some of the people who were living there, but it was a no-cost program for the family. So just looking to see what's available, what resources are out there is a good idea.
Shar, on that point, I just as a shout out to Shar, I think you should do like wraparound services on a dime because you've got a lot. That's where I think that you have a lot of creativity. So if you guys need to brainstorm or thoughts on this, you've got someone here that's really good at finding ways to do it on a dime. So
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jeff. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so we're going to talk about the partnerships. So this whole, time I've been talking about make a partner, do the research, find your resources. Informal relationships is what I'm talking about. And this can consist of referral networks, while formal relationships may be solidified in a memorandum of understanding. With the memorandum of understanding, basically what that is this everybody knows what they provide. If I provide this, you provide that, we both know what the expectation is. And you can just, Google sample memorandums of understanding so you can see kind of how it's set up. I'm not telling you to Google it and just use the first one you see, just so you can see how it's set up. Grantees that leverage their networks often provide a stronger menu of support services to their participants, which is very true. Partners are typically formally structured long-term relationships that work with grantees to address complex issues to achieve a shared goal. Program partners can also contribute unique perspectives to maximize outcomes. Community stakeholders are individuals, groups, businesses, and organizations that have an interest or investment in a particular community. They often have intimate knowledge of the community and its residents that may provide unique insights. Professional associations typically provide industry-specific best practices, evidence-based practices, and or evidence-informed practices that can be leveraged by a grantee. Many grantees have existing informal or formal relationships with other community-based organizations. These networks can be invaluable in helping enhance existing programs and services. So, you can unmute yourself or you can add them to the chat. What are some informal or formal partnerships that you currently have? Is there a community resource that you know the people there, they know you, and you know exactly how they can support your participants? Let's talk about it.
okay, don't everybody chat at
I was
once.
going to say, now you can't
I,
leave me
I can't keep
hanging.
up with it, right? And like, come on, so we got United Way out there, right? That's like
Yes,
one
United Way
probably.
was a good one.
Yep.
I'm just trying to think of some things that you all would definitely. Okay, let's go.
Oh,
Here we
here we
go.
go.
Yeah, help
Got
me, Jeff.
Midwest Food Bank. Why helping youth build maintain a food pantry? Cool.
Okay.
The little resource center. Now I don't know about that one, Charles. If you have any more information, but I'm guessing that's the name of the organization, the Little Resource Center. And then we've got a note here. Still, Tony's new to his role, but he's taking a lot of notes from others, so he appreciates it.
Well, we're all learning. We're all learning together. But are there any partnerships that you like to build? Let's go there.
Got Red Wing donated gently used work boots. Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We got Clio Food Pantry.
Okay, nice. Because we know if you're hungry, you can't learn, right? I know I can't.
Yeah. I really like that. That's true. It does impacts a lot. And I think that Red Wing, that's a really creative one on gently
Mm-hmm.
used work boots because those, you think about those organizations in your neighborhood that maybe have that kind of stuff. We have a Continuum of Care. I'm guessing that's another organization. Uh, we have a food pantry in the local area and a closet in which the tradeswomen donate old clothes and boots and other stuff. Oh, so a food pantry and clothing closet is a resource. Here's a person, they've been working on a food pantry items as well, so doing it themselves. Regina Kitching Williams, Harmony Wraparound Services provider. Oh, that's just introducing. Oh, you have the Holy Angels Food Pantry. All right.
Nice.
Okay. And then I'm guessing that's Bussy. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Busy Bank, Bussy Bank will conduct financial literacy for participants. So the local bank is doing that financial literacy training. Charles here, he's giving us a little more information. The Little Resource Center has partnered with various organizations in our area to connect to the resources they need from housing, food, and health. And Charles, can you share where you're located? And then we've got Providence, and Charles is in the Carbondale area. So if you're
Okay.
down in that area, the Little Resource Center is partnering. We have Providence Bank and Trust for financial literacy. And then Tracy shared that Connect Transit provides monthly passes at a discounted rate. So they passing on, that's a creative too, just passing on some discounts.
Yeah. So these are all good. Thank you so much. Thank you so, so much. These are all really good um places to work from. Thank you again. Wraparound services is really barrier reduction. And here are three ways that we reduce barriers. It's through our internal resources. These are in-house services that can be referred to participants. Typically, no fees are associated with these services. The external resources are the local community partnerships that the wraparound service coordinator forges to bring the services to the participants. And the third one is the Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship resource. This is the budgetary resource that is decided during the grant agreement process. So this is where you say, this is how much I believe I'll need to provide wraparound services for the participants. And here's some ways to leverage the informal and formal service networks. You identify grantees' internal wraparound services for utilization. Identify the local community resources. Build relationships with organizations and obtain those MIUs with external partners. So I know I have a few grantees that have MOUs of my own. I'm talking about my grantees that have external partner MOUs for wraparound services. What are some strategies you've used to obtain those? Because this is what we need to talk about. Like, how does it look when you find someone who you believe can be a good partner and support the participants, but you're like, how do I do it? So let's talk about how do you attain those external partner MOUs for the wraparound services, and what's your process for creating, once you have those, for creating your accessible list of resources for participants. So if you have an MOU, you have the partnerships, you all just listed some here, you work with these food banks, how did that process start? And if you want to unmute yourself, you can raise your hand, and I believe someone will unmute you. But if you're okay with being in the chat, let's go there.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting. The getting the internal MOUs is one thing, right? Because those are inside your organization, and it's more just a formality of having to write it up and put it down on paper. But getting them external, and so much, even the transition services area is so much about that external, right? And how do you do that? Well, we have one shared point here. Regina shared that meeting with the organization and establishing rapport, and then explaining our program's needs is kind of how they do it. And Regina, would you mind coming off mute and just telling about that? Because I think, how do you get that rapport? Like, what is that when you establish that? And I'm sure, what did you said you met with them? What did you do? Did you bring them donuts? How did it happen? If you're able.
Okay,
Okay.
then. All right, there you are. Thank you. Good morning. Yes, you want to establish a meeting, and that's a face-to-face meeting. In order to establish rapport, you need to sit down with them and then go over the program that you have, your participants, what your needs are, and how they can best service those needs. They may have programs that they're already utilizing that you can adapt and be a part of. They may even give you more referrals, especially churches. These are organizations in the community are often willing to assist, but just don't know the people that need the assistance.
Hey, Regina, I'm curious. With this example, do you cold call them, or do you
It's a
talk to
visit.
people? You just
It's a
stop by.
visit. It is a visit, and it is a
Hmm.
cold visit.
Hmm.
Yes. And you are turned away because sometimes they're not available, but your personality wins the opportunity.
There you go. And I think, I've heard it said, if you're not being told no, you're not asking for enough.
There
Would you
you
agree
are.
with that?
Yes, indeed. You have to get out. You have to talk to the people in the where your work sites are, especially if you um, don't know the community. You have to walk the community. You have to drive around and see which churches are not only open on Sunday, see which organizations have
Hmm.
traffic.
Hmm.
The foot
Good.
traffic. You can't see that from the phone. You have to go
No.
there.
Thank you, Regina.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. And that's really good because once you know about an opportunity, it's not okay that you just know that it's there. Um, this is our job. Our job is to reduce barriers at however we can. Another thing that I would just like to remind you is that your participants are a good resource. Just like they found you as a grantee to be able to be a part of your program, they found some other things as well. So at times, make sure you just ask them, you know, is there something you like to share? Are there any resources available that you use that you think would be good? You know, and build that relationship with your participants as well, because they are a resource that sometimes we just haven't thought of. But like like Regina said, they probably cold called just like they found you. There are other opportunities out there that they found that they can probably share.
Yeah. And Shar Tracy dropped in another way too. The perspective here is they highlight ways that their organization can help that organization, right? So they meet with them, I guess, and then highlight, hey, here's how we can help you with what we're doing in the pre-apprenticeship program or our organization. This is what we do. And so they kind of identify common interests or needs between both organizations. And then so they attend community meetings to build connections. They don't write letters of support for other organizations without establishing or reaffirming MOUs. And they read the paper or connect via social media. and then often find info about community partnership or opportunities. And Tracy, would you mind sharing a little bit about that? Like, how do you highlight ways your organizations, I mean, do you guys have like a pitch deck that you come in and talk to, or you just, is it all conversation driven? If you're comfortable doing that, I'd be curious how do you highlight your organization? Okay. And see if we can get Tracy unmuted. And
Okay.
Hello.
hello.
Hi, this is Tracy Polson with Youth Build McLean County. Our organization has been in the community for over 30 years, so a lot of these are longstanding relationships, but even as new organizations and opportunities for our students pop up, we're very intentional about seeking out people that align with our mission and the people that we're serving. And so sometimes we'll invite them out to our organization, and sometimes we'll call and just set up an appointment to meet to learn. And I think that that's the kind of attitude that we take into these meetings, is that we really just want to find out more about ways that our programs can work together. And then during those tours or initial meetings, we just kind of start talking about the ways that our missions align or don't. And I think that that's really helpful, reaching out to newer organizations that come into the community, help strengthen the opportunity for partnership, and then it helps them learn more about our organization and the way that we can align.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. This is really good. We're going to keep on moving along and talk about how we document wraparound services and IWRS. In order to accurately document wraparound services and IWRS, the wraparound service coordinator should follow these points. Number one, identify where you are in the life cycle when uploading the data. By understanding where the wraparound service coordinator is in the life cycle, he or she can determine the appropriate data to be uploaded into IWRS. While the wraparound service coordinator can be offered through the initial assessment and during the intake, some data is required to fulfill the enrollment metric. Items like transportation, bus passes, all require dollar amounts that must align with the receipts. So make sure, when you have those barrier reductions, that those dollar amounts match. Make sure you record and upload any documents relevant to the type of service being provided. Let me see. I will say this as well. So if you have a wraparound service that is not something that I have already identified, when you get your approval from your grant manager via email, send that with your documentation for your fiscal documentation. So if you ask for eyeglasses and eye exam and your grant manager approved it, when you submit that, send a copy of that email as well. You can just print it out or however you do it, download it and send that as well. That will be very helpful for the financial grant managers. Also, it's important to track the type of wraparound service for each participant that uses them. Make sure you monitor allowable costs before uploading data, and monitor whether the service being offered is allowed based on the 2026 Grantee Manual, Section 6. A good practice is to develop a wraparound services plan. I've mentioned when I presented before, when you have your orientation and randomly throughout your instructional program cycle, have a quick quiz. Who's the wraparound service coordinator? Do your participants know who to talk to? Do they know who the transition service coordinator is and what they should be asking them? Do they know who the wraparound service coordinator is and what to ask them? And also making sure that everybody on the team knows if someone asks them a question that should be sent to someone else, can they translate that well? So just to make sure that you're looking into those things for your program as well. It's a small thing that just kind of sometimes just slips through the cracks. So I always mention it because I think it's important, especially when we've been doing this work so long, and we have to remember that we've been doing this every day, or we've been doing this for so many years, but these participants only get a very specific time period with us. So that's not their experience. Now we're going to talk about troubleshooting wraparound services and IWRS. You have to ensure that the wraparound services that are requested during the assessments are documented with the dollar value added if applicable. Ensure wraparound services are not given it blanketed fashion, like everybody gets a transit card, that they have to opt in. Next slide. The IWRS assessment form is completed upon intake. This form is where the participant shares any current wraparound services. Make sure you cover common errors in IWRS for wraparound services. I'm going to say this year specifically, just as a reminder, this has to be completed as internally in IWRS, but you also have to upload the document. So it has to be both this year. This is the first year that is a requirement in guidance. So make sure that you are, your data entry and those people who are working on this have both documents, the upload and the document here. Because what we do when we're going through for enrollment verification, we have to open both of these items and we have to make sure that they match. And if you don't have both, you will not get enrollment credit. When completing the grantee will add wraparound services provided in IWRS assessment, and then add the dollar amount in the career plan section of wraparound services. So we have it right here. So you go into wraparound services, you click in there, and you make sure that everything that you have is entered. If there is a situation where they did not ask for a wraparound service, you make sure you just add that there. And next slide. So wraparound services, along with the dollar amount, that should be added. And as I said, if additional wraparound services are needed, make sure you add it, because like I said, we're looking at your wraparound service assessment. So if they didn't ask for a transit card, but you gave them one, make sure you add a case note and say, this is why we added the transit card. They began to take the bus. It was more convenient, or it was more, whatever, so that we'll be able to understand why this changed from your document. And this is something that as grant managers, we do. So periodically, the wraparound service coordinator needs to follow up with participants who have not had the need in the initial assessment. So in addition, offering wraparound services toward the end of a cohort is important. Just as a reminder, once the student graduates from the program, there are no more wraparound services. That is expired. So if a wraparound service is needed at the end of the program, there needs to be ample time to get estimates, quotes, and process data. I'm going to say this really quickly. When it comes to car repairs, I feel like everybody's car breaks down the last few days of class. So make sure, you are talking to your participants to see what their needs are, because it really does have to be approved before the end of your cohort instructional period. Now I have a question. What strategies have you used to continue monitoring the wraparound services needs of your participants? So if you've been in session for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, how are you communicating with them to make sure that they have what they need? And you can raise your hand to be unmuted, or you can put it in the chat.
We got a few coming in here. So checking in with students, meeting weekly to discuss their needs and any concerns with material, and then constant communications via phone, email, text, etc. We have weekly one-on-one meetings with students, no less than weekly one-to-one contact, office hours, and communication.
All good.
Yeah.
These are wonderful ideas and practices to continue.
Yeah,
One-on-one text messages.
I think that office hours too is maybe underemphasize it, but they need to know when they can come in and find you, right? And so
Mhm.
having that schedule is letting them know the schedule. Here's another one. I send an email once a week in a group email and do one-on-one text messages.
Nice. Very nice. Look at you all doing great work. I'm not surprised. So I do want to just encourage you to check in with participants to make sure um, if what they had in their needs assessment is current, because that may change. And just as a question to ask yourself, like we just talked about, making sure you know what follow-up looks like for your program, and making sure that you have identified that their needs haven't changed, and making sure that they know who their direct contact person is for the wraparound services. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The next question is, what are your best practices for communicating that there are wraparound services available after the program has begun? So I think we've just answered that. If you all have anything else, we are more than willing to take those. We have check-ins throughout the cohort. I think that's amazing. I know one program had a QR code that they could complete. So it was the wraparound services, but it was a QR code that was available for the participants. And I thought that was pretty cool because it has all the information, it has the date stamp, it has, kind of what you need. And so that would be your tracking for that piece.
So Shar, on that, was it a form that it kind of
It was the
QR code?
wraparound services form,
Mm-hmm.
and it had a place where you could add anything additionally.
Oh, nice. So then any student could just scan it or participate anytime that they wanted
Yep.
to and so that's like a constant contact.
Hmm.
Always able to get in touch and share that. Yeah, that is a creative solution.
Yeah.
So everybody's got a phone typically, and those QR codes make it easy. That's the key. They're making it easy for people to share.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because some people don't want to ask, but they
yes.
know they have the need. And so, to make sure that we are providing, multiple ways to communicate and to allow them to communicate their needs is nice. All right. Next slide, drum roll. Okay, so do you have any questions for the community? I know someone said that they were new to the role. Based on what we discussed today, are there any questions? Are there any challenges that you're facing? And do you have any questions like, okay, how do you all do this? This is what the community of practice is for. This is why, we're working to build this together, because I am not the subject matter expert. You are. So are there any questions that you all have?
Yes, so it looks like some are coming in here, and I just want to add to Shar's point there. Illinois Works expects you to have challenges. It's not all roses and easy out there. We know that, right? So this is the chance for everybody just to be real and share what's going on and try to help each other. So encourage you to take advantage of this community. All right, one that came in is the wraparound assessment and career assessment form the same?
No. So the wraparound assessment form is the one that's asking you about transportation, childcare, technology, those things. The career assessment is talking about, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a boilermaker? Do you want to be a plumber? Do you want to be an electrician? And so we have the career assessment from orientation, that's at the beginning. So you have the orientation career assessment, and then you have the pre-transition, because maybe I wanted to be a pipe fitter when I came into this because my friend is a pipe fitter. But, you know, as we've been in a program and we've visited these different locations, now I think I might want to be something else, you know. So, or I came in wanting to be an electrician, and now I want to do this. So that's why we have two, because we want to know what they came in looking for, and then for that pre-transition, because the pre-transition is like, okay, now these are the unions we should see applications for. These are, you know, where we should see that process. And I'm not sure if I answered that for you, but if you need to be unmuted, Sandra, you know, I love to hear your voice.
And we got another one came in here. Tony just said there's no questions on my end. Oh, go ahead, Sandra.
Good morning, everyone. I'm dealing with a little cold, so I'm sorry. So the wraparound assessment form, that's a new form for the intake as well as the career assessment form?
No.
I'm confused. Unconfuse me, please.
So do you know when you're doing, and Sandra, you do this and you've done it.
And that's why I'm confused. I want to double check, you know, I want to dot my I's and cross my T's. I want to make
No.
sure.
So we've done none of these forms are new. We did update the wraparound assessment form to remove the gas cards. That's the only thing that has changed. We removed that from the form, but it's the same wraparound assessment that has, you know, your transportation,
Okay, so we don't have to upload the wraparound form
yes,
in the intake.
you have to do both. You have
to
because
upload the wraparound and the career service?
No, so the career service is not, there's no upload.
Okay.
You enter that internally.
Okay. Just making sure. So
yes,
we have to upload the wraparound.
Correct. And the reason for that is because, like we were saying, people can't, you know, everybody get a bus card. That form is going to be from the participant. That will tell us this is what the participant said and requested, and then we match those two. So if I get it and they say on one form I take the bus, and on the other form they say something else, they drive. Okay, which one is it? What happened?
Right.
They should match, because they should have happened at the same time. And the career assessment is no upload for that. You're just entering that in, and that's the one that talks about what trades and construction you're interested in. And
Sure, is it cool if I give you a call after this?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so are there any other questions? I didn't see any more.
No, nothing else. You answered it. One of the questions that was there.
Okay, got it. Okay, good.
Everybody, Char, Juanette wants your phone number too.
Juanette has my phone number, but I will make sure that it's on my email, Juanette. It's on my email. I sent, okay. All right. So I am going to turn this over to, since, you know, Jeff hyped me up, I'm going to turn it over to feedback extraordinaire, Dr. Jeff Doolittle. And thank you so much for all your participation. I appreciate the work that you do for everyone in the Illinois Work Circle.
Yeah, I think what makes a good community is the community, right? And so today we just got to see it in action with everybody chiming in. And it's one of those things you got to give, even when you don't need it. But there'll be a time that you do need it, and someone else will give back to you. So appreciated all the conversation, and Shar, I think you did a great job too of just creating a good environment for that. But we're going to do a Mentimeter feedback surveys. You know, Illinois Works, we always look to improve, and we want to hear how we're doing, and we want to know it from you. So there's a Mentimeter code. You could go to menti.com and use that code 38810702, or you can just use it in the WebEx. If you're doing it from a desktop, you can actually just fill in respond right there in the bottom right side, the multimedia viewer. You'll be able to access the Mentimeter questions there. So just we want you to get out to Mentimeter, and we're going to go through our typical end of course survey questions. And Victor, thanks for dropping the Mentimeter into the chat so everybody can get out there. We've got 7 of the 24, so let's get a few more responses. We'd like to hear from everybody, and that's always our goal. So in this one, you just share your views on the training rating statements from lowest to highest. 1 is lowest, 10 is the highest. You know, how did we do? To what extent did we meet your expectations? How likely are you to attend a similar event in the future? And then how likely are you to recommend this training to others? So thank you for the feedback that's coming in. Again, we do appreciate it. Again, we also know we can always improve. So we do like to know how we're doing, though, and hear from you. So everybody's point of view is important. And thank you for the thumbs up, whoever gave that. That's awesome, too. Nice to get those. All right, next up, the course was relevant to what I wanted to learn about the subject matter, from strongly agree to somewhat agree. If you would go through and answer these questions here, that helps us out. The course was relevant to what I wanted to learn about the subject matter. And I see it filling in here, and that's awesome. That's great. Okay. Getting some good responses coming in. Appreciate everybody's point of view. Again, there's always opportunities. Next up, I plan to apply what I learned today, from strongly agree to strongly disagree. How would you rate this? I plan to apply what you learned. You're going to use this content that was shared. Again, I see some coming in here. I'm getting some good responses. That's great. If you would, please tell us what you think. All right. Great. That's awesome. Good response rate. All right. We're going to keep moving on. What improvements might you recommend? We've got a few other thoughts here. What some NAs, not this time. Find a way to assist with fuel for transportation. Need assistance on documentation. All helpful. Additional details on creating and writing MOUs. You know, and if there's a way or tool that can be used to share resources that other grantees have provided throughout the presentation. Absolutely. And using the LMS to do some of that sharing, but really good. Great. Yeah, I think and this will be saved, and the recording from today. So you'll also be able to go back and listen to some of the other participants. And those that shared, if I had a way to give out gold stars, I totally would give you guys gold stars. That was awesome today. So thank you. You deserve that. Kudos for chiming in. What did you find effective? If we make changes, what would you recommend we keep? Again, a lot of positives. Assistance with eyeglasses. Everything was extremely effective, very informative. Resources are great. Love the community. I agree. I love the community too. I think that's a huge potential to learn from each other. So good feedback. Anybody else have comments? Please drop them in. Transportation, informative. Again, it's great. Please, we again want to hear from everybody. Is there anything else about this course you think we should know? Anything else? Again, great presentation. Shar, well done. And good as is, not this time. Real examples of the request to learn the correct way to submit them. All right. So maybe on some of those forms pieces. Great. All right. A lot of NAs. Again, NAs are nice ways just for us to know that you're out there and you're filling it in. You just have nothing to add. So that's great. Appreciate those as well. All right. Well, that stays open, and I'm going to just go ahead and move over to say thank you. I get to wrap it up, and thanks. We'll have a next The next upcoming wraparound service coordinator meeting will be communicated through the partner guide. And once that gets scheduled, it'll be put out there for you. Please tell everybody else, pass along the word that if you registered on the LMS, those links aren't working anymore, right? So you have to register through the partner guide. Make sure you pass it on to your friends, other people in the program, other grantees. And thank you all as well. Everybody deserves a round of kudos. Great job today. So have a great day, everyone. That's it for today. I'll be disconnecting us here.